Arundhati Roy, welcome to 7:30.
Thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure.
This book is about India. It's about you as a writer, and at its centre is the epic and terrifying story of your mother. Who was Mary Roy?
Well, Mary Roy was maybe less my mother than somebody who did something amazing with her life that did not include motherhood. But uh, uh, it made me grow up fast, and it made me realize that you know everybody every mother doesn't have to be perfect, and there were things that about her that were perhaps more important than uh, just being a good mother to me. And I left home when I was very young, as I say in my book, in order to be able to continue to love her, because I did recognize very early on that the battles that she fought, they may not have been for me as a daughter, but they did matter to me as a woman. And I somehow never wanted to reduce her or defeat her in any way, although obviously the book is really about that, the difficulty in arriving at that place, but I did arrive at it.
There was great cruelty in her. She called you terrible names. She even had your dog killed. You say that you had to go away from her in order to be able to go on loving her. Did you understand that then?
No, I think I understood it, because we lived in I mean, obviously, my mother left my father when I was, just under 3 years old, and she left without nothing, with no money, just a degree in a bachelor's degree in education, and eventually started this incredible school which still runs in this little town called Kottayam, where I grew up. And because she belonged to this very conservative community called the Syrian Christians, and it was made very clear to her that she had transgressed in terrible ways, and you know married outside the community, then divorced. And then she did two extraordinary things. One was the school, and the other was that she challenged the Syrian Christian, the Travancore Christian Succession Act, which basically gave a girl 1/4 of the son's share of her father's property of 5,000 rupees, which today is the price of a meal in an expensive restaurant, whichever is less. So she challenged that and changed the law to make it equal inheritance. So she became an iconic figure, and that legal battle took years and years and years. But as a very young child, I somehow could see the chain reaction of the humiliation that she endured at the hands of her father, at the hands of her brother, at the hands of the community, and therefore that was unloaded as a kind of rage against me and my brother. So somehow I could see what was happening. So I didn't just I just somehow didn't process it as cruelty to me. I could see the process.
So you never asked her to stop being cruel to you?
So she was a very, very severe asthmatic. She to me, the trauma was that she kept telling me, I'm going to die, and I can't breathe. And so a lot of my time was spent literally wanting to breathe for her. But you could not really say anything, because it would bring on an attack of asthma, which was terrifying to watch. So I just learned to not react and not say anything. This book is my conversation with her that I could not have while she was alive. And it's not an accusation or an indictment or anything. It's just a conversation, a celebration of what was great about her, and a reportage of what was not so great about her.
You also say that between her fits of violence and rage, she told you that you could be anything. So she did enable you to propel yourself into the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I would not trade her in for any other mother. I mean, she she gave me politics. She gave me poetry, literature, art, all of it happened as I grew up, along with, the building of the school, meeting this incredible architect, deciding to go to Delhi to study architecture. And so there was one part of me which endured a lot of pain and from her. But on the other hand, she always told me, you can be anything you want to be. And also, I grew up on the edge of that conservative community, not at the bottom of the caste system, for instance, but on the edge. And it was a community that made it very clear to me that its protections and reassurances and transactions were not for me. And she just told me, but you don't need them. So there was a, there was a steel in my spine that came from her. And so you know, that's what when I wrote this book, the challenge to me was, can you write her? Like, can you communicate that it's impossible to form an opinion of her? It's impossible to package her neatly. She's just, this spectrum, and you can't have an opinion about her.
So tell me, what happens when someone so large, so dominant in their environment, what happens when they're no longer there?
I was shocked at my response because, as I said, I was a little ashamed and humiliated at my response, because it was as if, I had grown into a particular shape to accommodate this wild person in my life, to accommodate her, to not defeat her, to not humiliate her in any way. And as I grew up and became the writer that I am, she knew that if there was a person who could challenge her, it was me, but I never did. And so there was always this. It was, one of the children in her school asked me, what was your relationship? And I said, it was the very relationship between two nuclear powers. So when she died, it was as though I had grown into this peculiar shape to accommodate her, and then she wasn't there. And so my shape didn't make sense to me anymore. I know that a lot of people who read the book come and tell me, I had a difficult parent and so on. That's one side of it. But the other side is, look at the pressure that culture puts on motherhood. Like, you have to be this perfect mother, and especially Western culture and therapy sort of demonizes the mother, in a way, a backdoor towards, I think, diffusing feminism. So to me, it's important for both the mother and the daughter to have some space to be grown up and to be things other than just mother and daughter to each other.
Arundhati Roy, congratulations on the book, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.